How's it going, everybody? Doing another collection video here today. This time it's going to be of the NES, so we're taking it back a bit here. This was the first console I put a lot of time in. I got the NES when I got it in 87. I want to say I was in second grade when I got it in second grade. I remember my mom and dad had got it for me on like a Saturday or something. I think it was after religion. And it was the NES, and it came with Mario, Super Mario Brothers, and they'd also gotten the Jaws game. So I'm thinking it was 87. I'm pretty sure I was in second grade. But I want to say I might have played some Atari before that, but I can't remember for sure. I did have an Atari 7800, but I think that came out even after the NES. Maybe an Atari 5200. I don't know. I don't think I had a 2600 back then. But anyway, NES had a lot of good memories with it. I had a lot of games when I was a kid, none of which I have now. Some of these are a good amount of these are my fiance's games as well, so it's kind of a shared collection. But I might want to get more NES games you can collect for the NES. It's not inexpensive. It can be an expensive console to collect for. There are games that are astronomically high in price, but you can get a ton of fantastic games for $10-15, sometimes even less. So you'll see some of those here, but first game here is Bubble Bobble. This is like a puzzle game, I think. You can shoot the bubbles at the things, catch them in there, the enemies and stuff, and then you go like level to level, or you like go up or down. I can't remember. Maybe it's down after each one. I can't remember fully. But yeah, Bubble Bobble. There's another puzzle game, Dr. Mario. Got the manual as well, slipcover. I always sucked at this game. Anytime I played other people in this game, I'd always get my ass kicked. They just sucked. But you're matching up the pills against like whatever color. If it's red, you gotta match the reds and stuff, or the blue or yellow, whatever. Like I said, I always sucked at this game for whatever reason. Mario is missing. You have used Luigi in this one, I believe. This is like an educational game. So you're like going around the world learning facts while you get information on where Mario is and stuff. You do lose. I'm pretty sure you lose. You definitely use Luigi in this one. Classic here, Contra. It's a classic game. This is one I had gotten with some other ones you're going to see here at a garage sale. If you came, most of you, I would assume, came from the Slip into Shadows ASMR channel, but you would have seen that garage sale pickup video where I got I think it was 8 NES games and technically 9, because one of them's a 2-pack. And 8 original Xbox games, but this is one of them. Contra, classic game, 2-player game. You put in the classic Konami code, you get 30 lives, is it? You can steal lives from the other guy if you run out. It's a classic shoot 'em up. You're getting different power-ups for your gun and stuff. You're going after enemies constantly. There's some top-down kind of, well, not top-down, but a different view where you're running forward, the screen where you're shooting at the things. But it's a classic game. Mission Impossible. Got this for $5 back when I was on Long Island at the one retro game store. I think it was the Video Game Trading Post. And it had the slip cover as well, dust cover. I played some of this. This is a top-down game. This is kind of in the vein of like the first Metal Gear. You're using characters from the show, and you got to go, and they have different abilities, and you're in a spy-type game. You don't want to get caught, because then you have to use somebody else. That stuff. This is actually made by Konami's dummy company, Ultra, that these companies used to do back then, because Nintendo would only allow you to put out like a certain amount of games per year, I guess, and all these bigger companies would have like these second ones, and Konami's was Ultra. You'll probably see 1 or 2 other Ultra games in here. Monopoly, self-explanatory, right? It's got the game board type thing here and the manual. Also, it's Monopoly. It's the board game Monopoly in video game form. Mystery Quest. I believe this is a puzzle type game where you might kind of go room from room. Like I said, a good amount of these are my fiance's, so I don't have any experience with some of them. This being one of them. Pinball. I want to say this might have been a launch title for the NES. Maybe not, though. I don't know. Well, the NES here in America, it came out in Japan. Famicom came out in Japan in '83. But Pinball, I don't remember playing much of this either. I don't think I had this at all when I was a kid. This is one I did have, and I got this at a garage sale, I think, for $2. Probably a couple of years ago. Well, yeah, maybe 21. Rad Racer. It's a racing game. This is made by Square. This is back when Square was still Square. Square and Enix had not merged yet. I think they didn't merge until like maybe '02. But Square. They weren't even Square Soft at that point. Just a good old Square. This is a racing game. Pretty good game, actually. And you see the Nintendo here with this is the sports series. 1987. Cool racing game, though. It looked pretty good for its time. They did make a second one, I believe. Solstice. If you ever play the game, I think it's Lumo, is inspired by this. Is one of these kind of games where you're going room from room. It has that like kind of, I don't know if it's an isometric view, but you're going room from room, finding stuff, trying to figure out how to get out of there, dealing with some enemies and stuff like that. This is one of those games, actually. It's pretty good, though. There's another Ultra game. Silent Service. I love this game when I was a kid. I had to get it again. It's cheap, too. This is a game you get for like $5 or $6. If you have a retro game store near you, you're going to be able to find this if they have it for cheap. Submarine game. You're using the periscope. You're looking out, trying to find things, shooting them. It's kind of like a simulation. I like submarine games. I have one on the Genesis as well. It's another one that came from that garage sale. Contra. It has a nice burn mark in it. I would assume somebody lit a cigarette and fell asleep or something. I don't know, but that looks like a cigarette burn. But this is a baseball. You know, Nintendo's first baseball game. You don't control the fielders in this, I believe. They just run to the ball if they can get it. I think you have to throw it. You like once you get it, you have to throw to the base. But I'm pretty sure the infielders and outfielders move on their own. But you do hit. It's actually a decent baseball game, especially for the time. This is another one that came from that G sale. And this one, Super Dodgeball, had its manual as well. It did have the slipcover. There's a couple of games with slipcovers. I also had gotten Super Mario 3 was in there as well, but I had sold that because we already have it. This is a really fun game. They have one on the Game Boy Advance. I have this Super Famicom one too. It's a fun game. You use different countries in this, and you go through a tournament. And like you set up as dodgeball, but you have people on each side from each country. You have people on your side where if they get the ball, they could whip it at you too on your side. And then it's funny because the guys kind of have hit points, and they will die. They will actually you'll see their little spirit go. And it's kind of funny. It's got a cool look. This is in like the universe of the Double Dragon games and shit like that, I believe. Is it Double Dragon? No, not Double Dragon. Is it? Is Double Dragon in that universe? Or is it what's the game? Like River City Ransom, it's in that universe. I don't know if Double Dragon games share that one as well. But there's also other sport games that are in this, have this look too, and they're all in like the same universe. It's a fun, super fun game though. And here's another one from that G sale. This is the dual pack. This is Mario and Duck Hunt. I need to get, my aunt in Florida has, when I go down to Florida, I stay at her house. I've talked about this in the other videos. On my other channel, my mom and aunt both live in Florida, so, and the one house my aunt lives in now, that my family's had that house, it was built in like the 80s. And then, I think it's my I don't know why I'm saying this, but grandma, aunt, and mom bought it, built it, or had it built, they paid for it, and now my aunt just owns it. My mom has another house down there too, a block away. Why am I talking? Oh, but she has a. Just went on a random thing. She has a old SD TV, standard definition old TV with the tube TV that I need to bring back here at some point if we drive down there because you can't use the light gun on the HD TVs, and I have 2 light guns. I'd love to play some Duck Hunt, but this is when they gave you a dual pack. This usually was bundled in with an NES, and then there was a third one that had track. Was it like World Class Track Meters, just track and field or something. It came in a 3-pack with this, but Super Mario Brothers is obviously a classic. It's the first game I played on the system. Still holds up. The Mario games, like 2. These games still hold up. This is one I got off eBay, so the manual's in this nice thing. I've not taken it out. This game was modeled, I guess they used another game. Was it Doki Doki Panic? Over there, they brought it here and called it Super Mario Bros. 2. They changed it up to the Mario characters and stuff like that. I think it was like they thought we couldn't handle Super Mario Bros. 2, the real version. They brought it out as the Lost Levels, I believe, and like the one on Super Nintendo. Super Mario All-Stars had it in it, and then, from there it's been on other compilations. But this is still a really cool game. You get to choose between Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Toad. And they each have different abilities. Like Peach floats, Luigi can jump pretty high, Toad still's quicker at picking up the turnips and stuff that you whip at the enemies. Shy Guy's in here, Birdo, all the other weird enemies that they've, not all of them. Well, I guess most of them did end up popping up in later Mario games over the years. But they all made their first appearances here. But I don't know if they were the enemies from Doki Doki Panic or not. They might have been. But I don't know for sure. It's a cool game, though. It's fun. It's a different feel than the first one. And the third one. Mario 3. People were losing their mind when this came out. They had like a little thing for it in that movie, The Wizard, I think, with Fred Savage. I think they play this at the end of like a game thing. People were like so hyped for this game, and it lived up to the hype. It's awesome. It has the overworld now and stuff. Not the overworld, like the little world map where you walk to each area and you go to the next one. There's other things you can do. The Hammer Brothers appear randomly. You can attack them. There's the Toad House that you can go to and do the things. It's just a fantastic game. Obviously, the Tanuki suit appears in this one. It's just an all-time classic. Super Pitfall. I don't know if I've ever actually played this one. This is hers. I heard it's not that good, though. I assume this is the sequel to the Atari game. Another one from that garage sale, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This is not as good as like the arcade game or the Manhattan Project. Well, the other ones that came, like Turtles in Time on Super Nintendo. The Hyperstone Heist one was that kind of like Turtles in Time, but a little different? I forget, it borrowed from one of them. This one's completely different. Oh, look, there you go. Because the Konami is on. I think, no, maybe Turtles in Time still is Ultra, but the Manhattan Project is Konami. This is completely different. You go around a little turtle van, going around the little world, going into buildings and stuff. You go into the sewers, and then there's the bomb levels that everybody couldn't stand. You got to swim around. You got a certain amount of oxygen. You're trying to some of the bombs or whatever. It's a kind of a pain in the ass. A lot of people do not like this game. Jeopardy, all new Junior Edition. It's Jeopardy. It's questions. Game Tech. They were doing all that stuff here. There should be another Game Tech here, actually. Game here as well. They did all like the TV shows that turned into games. They were usually on top of it. Game Tech. It's Jeopardy. Jurassic Park. This is actually a pretty cool game. The Super Nintendo version is the same version, I believe. It just looks better. But you're going around. It's top-down view like a Zelda. The older Zeldas. And you're going around dealing with dinosaurs. You got like key cards and stuff. I think there's like a river mission in one where like a raft or whatever. It's a pretty cool game, though, I gotta say. It actually is pretty fun. Especially for a movie tie-in game. The classic Lemmings. Everybody knows what Lemmings is. You're following. You're bringing the groups around. You don't want to get them killed. Who was this made by? Sunsoft. Is that Sunsoft the NEC one? I can't remember. It's Lemmings. This is the most recent game I got. I got this down here since we've been in North Carolina. At one of the thrift places, the Antiques and Geeks. It's a good price, $8. It's Ninja Gaiden 2. It does have a sticker on the back, and the front label is a little roughed up, but it works fine. It's Ninja Gaiden. I never played this when I was a kid. I played the first one. Never the second or the third at the time. Then I did play the one they put out on the Xbox. The original Xbox, and then they made another 2 after that. Cool game. They're tough. They're fun though. The gameplay is good. It's like great gameplay, of course. These kind of games will piss you off as you get knocked back by an enemy and fall into a pit. But it is a classic game. This game is licensed by Nintendo for play on the Nintendo Entertainment System. There's Ryu there. Good combat, fun boss fights. It's gonna piss you off though. But a lot of 8-bit games and 16-bit as well were a pain. They were hard. Mainly because a lot of them didn't have saves. Some would have a password system. There were some games like Zelda, like Tecmo Super Bowl, that actually had a save battery in them. But those were mainly role-playing games. The side-scrollers didn't. Like I said, you get passwords sometimes, but sometimes you wouldn't even get that. What do we got here? Lolo and Lolo 2. These are her games as well. I'm not overly experienced with these games. They are puzzle games. You're going from room to room again, trying to avoid enemies and stuff, figuring out how to get out of the rooms. These made by HAL Entertainment, or HAL America, who has made a bunch of other games since then. I think they did the first Kirby, maybe, too. I'm not sure. They were. I don't know if they're still around, or they were a second-party developer for Nintendo, so Nintendo owned them, or still does, if they still make games. Was this the last game from that G-Sale? I don't know. What did I show? Baseball, Super Dodgeball, Contra Turtles, Mario Duck Hunt. This... Did I forget one? There might be another one. Yes, there's one more. Double Dribble is regular Konami. Really fun basketball game. You get the little kind of cut scene when the guys go to dunk. There is that thing you see in Family Guy, the little cheat you do, run to the corner and chuck up threes. They go in like every time. It's a classic game though. It still holds up. Double Dribble. The other game, Tech Game. This is another one that came from Garage Sale a while back. It's probably 10 years ago now. Classic Concentration. I never watched this television show as a kid, but you have to figure things out as you match things or whatever, and then it shows pieces of it, and you got to figure it out spelled out like this. Like, I don't even know what it would be like. You see how the M plus the I, it's pointing to the Cyclops. That'd be my, I guess. And I can't even figure out the other ones. But that's what you're doing. You're figuring it out based on those pictures. Nightmare on Elm Street. This is a 4-player game if you had the multi-tap or whatever they were calling it. It's not that bad of a game. Like, you're hanging out kind of in the daytime and it's not crazy. And then it gets to nighttime and all the monsters appear. You go into the house in the graveyard. Then you're fighting Freddy randomly, his glove and shit. It's actually a pretty cool game based on a movie. I'd say it's better than the Friday the 13th game. Tetris and Tetris 2. I don't really have any experience with Tetris 2. I know they improved some things, I guess. But, I mean, the original Tetris is a damn classic. A lot of people prefer it on the Game Boy. I think it first came to the Game Boy, then the NES. I'm not sure. The movie's pretty good, too, on Tetris. I know they admitted, like, they just kind of exaggerated things in the movie, but still, I enjoyed it. It's Tetris. It's classic. The music, everything. Like, it's just a fun game that still holds up. People can say it's the all-time kind of best puzzle game. You can't really argue with them. Like I said, I don't have enough experience with Tetris DOS. What do I got here? 5. One second here. I tend to do this in my videos if you're new to this channel. Look at stuff real quick. Here's one of my favorites. I bought this like a week before we left New York. And I actually had gotten it. They screwed up. I didn't realize this. I had picked this up 2 Game Boy Color games. I think is Mission Impossible and Nightfire. No, 007 World is not enough. Not Nightfire. Those 3. This and I think 2 PSP games. Yeah, Field Commander and Virtua Tennis, something or other. But Jackal, the guy didn't scan it, or he was looking at it too, and I thought he was fiddling around with the computer. And then I leave. I'm with my friend. I leave and I come. I look at the receipt once. I put it down. I'm like, I keep looking at the receipt. I'm like, something doesn't seem right here. And we were already we were going to Massapequa at that point to play cards, and I was like, holy shit, he didn't charge us. I think it was like a $12 game, and it's not going to set the place back. But I'm like, I'm not going back. We're already in Massapequa. This is an awesome game. Konami, this game rules. Jackal, great music again. It's cool. You're the Jeep. You're going around. You're freeing hostages out of buildings. You get grenades and missiles on top of your gun. People are coming at you. Tanks, other stuff. Other enemies appear and stuff. Cool little boss fights in there as well. You fight like these Medusa heads at one point. You gotta blow up. They shoot missiles at you. This game is fantastic. If you have an NES or... This was on, I don't think it's a thing anymore, the Xbox 360 when they did their arcade thing where you'd buy the arcade cabinets. They release like new games every week. This was one of them. But this game is fantastic. Now, this is a game made by Rare. Anticipation. I loved this game as a kid as well. Nintendo's first video board game. You'd pick your things, you'd go around the thing, and then you'd land on a thing, and it would start drawing out what the image is, and you'd have to buzz in if you're playing with somebody else as fast as possible to figure out what it is, if you know what it is. It was just a fun game. Anticipation. Look at all these bozos on the cover. I wonder if any of the people, I don't know how, these people could be in their 20s. This came out in the 80s, but people aged differently back then. They looked older than they do now. And even for me in the 90s, people started looking younger than they were. I don't know. Or looked at the same age. But people looked older back then. I'm going to guess they're probably in their 20s or late 20s or 30s. I wonder if they look at this still and they're like, holy shit, there I am. I was on the cover in Anticipation. Wrecking Crew. I think this is another early title too. I don't have any experience with this game. This is another one of hers. So I think it's a puzzle game. And the last game I got from that place, that garage sale, Wrestlemania. This game's not that good. It does have a manual. Who's in this? Obviously Hogan is, but who are the others? There's not many. I played some of this when I got it at the garage sale. The gameplay is kind of weak. You got Ted DiBiase, Bam Bam Bigelow, Honky Tonk Man, Randy Savage, Andre the Giant, and Hulk Hogan. There's a little screenshot of the gameplay. That gives you the how to do the moves in here and stuff. Like I said, I didn't play much of it. I gotta say though, out of baseball, like all the other games that came at the garage sale were like in fantastic condition. Tiny Toon Adventures and Tiny Toon Adventures 2. What is this? Something... Trouble in Wacky Land. They both have their manuals. This one doesn't have the full manual. These are side scrollers. This one might actually have like Overworld. You'd run around to different things. You're using Buster and Babs and the other people that were in Tiny Toons. These are both Konami games as well. They're both pretty good. I'm not super... These, once again, are hers, so I don't remember playing this one. I do remember playing some of this one even when I was younger. We have another one. Actually, no, I have two more. One on the Super Nintendo, one on the Genesis as well. Tiny Toons. And the last game here is another one of my favorites when I was a kid. So I picked it up at the East End Gaming on Long Island in Oakdale. I miss those retro game stores up there. They had a lot on Long Island, had a lot of retro game stores. The Antiques and Geeks here is nice. It's video games, but it's also cards and all types of actual antiques and stuff like that. Toys, comics, actual, like I said, antiques. But they do have a decent amount of games, but it's not the same as like a video game, like a straight-on retro game store. Maybe Greensboro has one. I don't know. I have to look around. But there's a lot on Long Island. That's one good thing about Long Island is that everything was there. There wasn't much forests, which I appreciate there being more woods and stuff here. There you could find woods and stuff, but it ain't like here. It's not, well, it's not even like anywhere. Long Island is a place that's just building, house. But Alpha Mission. Cool, shoot 'em up. It's a fun game. I remember playing the hell out of this when I was a kid. It's just a shoot 'em up. You're getting power-ups and stuff, and enemies are coming at you like crazy. I do like these games. They can be very difficult. But Alpha Mission. But yeah, that is my NES collection here. And thanks for checking this out, and have a good day.